morning. Great morning. Great morning. You guys come on in. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. Y'all see me hanging out with my daddy bear? I'm trying to stay warm. It's cold. Y'all come on in. It's Friday. I love it. I love it. Let me log in. I'm going to go ahead and share the broadcast. Hey, hey, you guys. Let me share. All right, all right. Hey, you guys, what's going on? Great morning, April. Hey, Kim. Hey, Shannon. How are you? So good to see you all this morning. Thank you, April, for being ahead of the curve, girl. Go on and get that share in. You guys do me a favor, share the broadcast, and let me know when you have shared. Ooh, y'all. Ooh, I'm excited about today's word and today's message for a number of reasons. Great morning, Carrie. How are you, cousin? Good to see you. So, y'all see my daddy bear over here? Listen, he's here for a reason. Today, I wanted to make sure that y'all were able to see him today. You know, I'm trying to give him his time in the spotlight, daddy bear. That's my daddy bear, okay? That bear has so much significance in my life. That's the bear that my daddy gave me when we met for the first time. He had a teddy bear waiting for me. He had balloons. Oh my goodness, it was amazing. And several things I want to talk about today. You know, it is so important that we honor our ancestors, those who've gone before us, because they literally have paved the way for us in a number of ways. I started watching for the first time Young Rock today. I'd never seen it before. I know my son was watching it. I was like, "What is that?" They were like, "Young Rock. It's really good." And I was like, "Okay." Well, this morning I was up very early and I decided to start watching it. And the thing, it was several things that stood out to me, but one of them was how he honored those who've gone before him. You know, I teach people that the principle of honor is a significant spiritual principle that opens doors for you. The principle of honor. The law of honor is powerful. Listen, you are to honor those who have gone before you. Show people honor. Now, I'm not saying to the extreme because everything can be used and abused, right? But I'm talking about honor. Um, Today, yesterday, first, second, was my grandfather's birthday, my mom's dad, my grandfather who raised me. Some documents say December 2nd, some documents say December 1st. My mom says it was December 1st, but his picture popped up today for me because I've always celebrated it on the 2nd, okay? That was when I understood his birthday to be. But whichever day it is, today, I wanted to take a moment out just to honor his legacy. Now, did he always get it right? He didn't. He didn't always get it right. He was not a perfect man. He was a flawed man. But listen, he was a man nonetheless. So this morning I was having a conversation with my grandson and I was telling him he had left his clothes on the floor. You know, he's a child. That's what kids do. Grown people do it too. But anyway, he left his clothes in the floor in the bathroom. I've done it before, okay? So I know that sometimes it happens, but this was the second time that it had happened this week, and I saw it, and I told him, I said, "Hey, I need you to get your clothes up. As much energy as it takes for you to lay them on the floor, it takes the same amount of energy for you to put them in the dirty clothes hamper that's right there, right?" And so I was telling him, there are just some things, my son was talking about, well, he sees his sister do it and she get away with it. No, I don't care nothing about that, right? See, ultimately, at the end of the day, we're all accountable for our own actions, our own choices. And one of the things that I want him to understand is, regardless of what a woman does, a man has a certain responsibility. My grandfather understood that responsibility. He didn't get everything right. Now, hear me when I tell you he did not get everything right. He definitely did not get everything right. But there were some things that he got right. Some things that he mastered. He mastered the art of provision. Like he knew how to provide. He mastered the art of um, safety. I always felt protected with him. Other stuff, he missed some of it. You know, um, did he ever cheat? Yes. Did he ever hit my grandmother? Yes, he did. He missed that stuff. And I used to think that you throw the man away with his shortcomings. That's what I used to think. I used to think that, a person lost their value with their mistakes. And unfortunately, I spent a lot of years angry at my grandfather and angry at my grandmother, honestly, for staying with him. But do you know what I realized as I became an adult? Life is not as simple as we attempt to make it. And people can be great people, but flawed, right? All of us are flawed. So sometimes what we do is we miss the value of our ancestors because we're caught up in the flaws. We're caught up in the things that they got real wrong or the stuff that they got wrong, period. We're caught up in the areas of struggle that they had instead of honoring who they were and what they got right, even as we acknowledge what they got wrong. Because listen, guess what the reality is? You're going to get stuff wrong too. I've gotten stuff wrong, right? Um, and so the question becomes, do we throw it all away? Or do we honor the value of people, even though they're flawed? You see, when you live your life feeling like you have to earn approval, earn acceptance, earn love, you feel like everything is tied to what you do. And you tend to judge other people by the same standard, what they do. Now, I'm not saying that you don't, look at what people do, but I'm talking about love and being able to honor and value the contributions people make, even though they don't get everything right. See, we try to make it so much about doing that we forget the power of being. One thing that I always loved about my grandfather, like first of all, Daddy loved me. He loved me. Um, Loved me, was going to make sure I was good, you know? Um, Now, and for me, him making sure I was good sometimes put him at odds with other people, but it didn't matter to him. He was going to make sure I was good, whether that was put him at odds with my mama, put him at odds with my aunts or uncles. Like, he was going to make sure I was good. When my mama got pregnant with me, um, I don't know all the details of what happened, but I know she got put out of the house. She got put out of the house because she was pregnant. She got put out of the house because she didn't listen. She was hard headed. She was stubborn. She was fast. Like all of those things. Okay, um, but she got put out of the house because she was pregnant with me. And as the story is told, as it got closer to time for her to have me, um, Daddy said, "Bring her home, 'cause I want that baby to be here." Okay, and I think it created a little resentment, because the concern was not for her. The concern was for me, right? That baby, right? That baby, the innocent one, the one who hadn't had a chance to make mistakes yet. Okay. And so, my mama went home and she was there when she went into labor with me. And when she got out of the hospital and came home, she came home to the house with me. And then when she got ready to leave the house, they said, "You can leave, but leave that baby here." Right. I was Daddy's baby. I'm telling my grandparents loved me. I was the first grandchild, and though they were upset with my mama that she had gotten pregnant and was still in high school, they were excited about me. Her first child, the first grandchild, I was special. I got a lot of attention. I had a lot of time. I was everybody's baby, right? All of my mom's classmates, they loved me. Her girlfriends, they all had a hand to play in raising me. I was that child, that infant, um, I was chosen at a very early age. Well, actually, I was chosen before the seed was deposited in my mama's womb. But I'm telling y'all this for a reason. People ask me what's going on with my name. And so my name changed on Facebook. And so it says Veronica Joe Wiggins. Well, that Joe I got from my grandfather. That's a part of my legacy from him. My mama named me after him because I was his baby. And so for Joseph Benjamin Duncan Sr., I was a namesake. Yes, my uncle was his namesake, Joseph Benjamin Duncan Jr. My cousin, Joseph Benjamin Duncan III, all of them have his name. And my grandson has his name. And my son didn't even realize that that's what he was doing. He just knew that he fell in love with Joseph in the Bible and wanted to name his son Joseph without even understanding that his great grandfather, um, his name was Joseph. Now, you know what that told me? I hadn't done a good job in honoring my ancestors, right? He should have known that. Like, he should have known that his grandfather's name, his great grandfather's name was Joseph, and his great grandmother's name was Mary Lucille, or Mercille, as they called her. He should have known that, right? That's something that I should have passed down. I mean, they should have been aware. It should have been known, right? Even though they never got a chance to meet them. Both of my grandparents died when I was in high school. So um, they didn't get to see that side of my life. They didn't get to see the me as a parent. They didn't get to see. And you know what? I can imagine that my grandmother would have told me to leave Trevellis there with her, right? They didn't get to see that. They didn't get to experience that. But I never want to lose sight of honoring my ancestors for all they've done. And now I have more ancestors to add to the equation, right? I have my parents, my grandparents on my daddy's side that I never got a chance to meet, but I feel as though I know from the stories that I've heard about them, from the things that I've discovered in going through our ancestry. My great great grandfather, Elmo Stewart Sr., who was a pastor and who owned land and had a store, like entrepreneurship. It ran in my family. Even though I didn't know that I had entrepreneurship on that side, I didn't know where that entrepreneur piece in me really came from, but it was there. Today, I want us to take some time and honor our ancestors. I'm going to show you my granddaddy because my granddaddy was so handsome. Okay, so I'm going to see if y'all can see the picture. But this man was the man that kind of set the gold standard for me. Now, I want you to imagine this because, sometimes setting the gold standard is a good thing, but it also can be challenging when you discover the humanity of those that you set as your gold standard. When you discover that they are real people and they were real flawed and they had real issues, just like anyone else. But this is my amazingly handsome grandfather. He had those light brown eyes. He was handsome. My cousins look so much like him. My cousin Terry, my cousin Timmy, my uncle Larry looks just like him. My aunt Carol Lou looks so much like him. Like, this is my granddaddy, right? This is Joseph, right? My grandmother's name was Mary. So, I was the child of Joseph and Mary. Call me baby Jesus, honey. You can call me baby Jesus, okay? Savior to the family, okay? Savior to the world. The sent to save, right? Not in exactly the same way Jesus did, but I try to do my part. I take the assignment seriously. My grandfather was born in, I want to say, hold on, let me get to it. I'm trying to remember exactly how old he would have been, but he was born in a large family. I love ancestry, right? I love ancestry.com, ancestry DNA, because it allows you to connect the dots in your family. Unfortunately, we live in a society that feels like those things don't matter, that family doesn't matter, that it doesn't matter where you come from and it doesn't matter who you're connected to, but all of it is lies. The more I study the science of DNA and genealogy, the more that I realize that our DNA has more to do with our choices, our actions, and how we show up in the world than we even realize. How is it that my daddy, Oscar Wiggins Jr., I had never met, but I'm so much like him. There are so many similarities in our life experiences, so many similarities in our personalities. We move similarly, we think similarly, we even talk similarly, we even rub our feet together similarly. Like, there's so many similarities that I couldn't have learned from him. So when I teach in psychology and I talk about nature versus nurture, right? Although, why does it have to be versus, right? Why can't it be nature and nurture? Because that's really what it is. We are a combination of the DNA that we possess on all sides of our family and the environment in which we're raised. All of those things come into play, right? So, understanding who you are, knowing who your people are is important. This year, I feel like I've come to understand me so much more. There were things that I didn't understand. It didn't make sense to me. I didn't know where it came from. We would try to figure out where certain characteristics came from. My son's little nose, or, one of them's little ears, or, things that, we didn't see on my side or on my husband's side. And ain't nobody else their daddy. And I'm gonna go and make sure they take the ancestral DNA so they know where they fall. Honey, listen, ain't no confusion, right? But understanding and being able to see the lineage and to see how DNA and ancestry affects you. We're more connected than we know we are. We have more things in common than we think we have in common. And we have more in common with our ancestors than we may even realize. I knew when I saw my grandmother, like it was something about seeing her name and then beginning to plot her life that helped me to understand, oh, I'm that lady right here. I got a lot of her in me. Okay. So it helps me to understand me all the more, because listen, I'm just saying, my grandmama was the truth, right? um but we had a lot in common. Listen, so my grandfather was born in 1917. 1917, right? 1917. You all, listen. 1917. Hold on. Let me just do a little math, because, I can't think it right now. So I got to just do it, right? 2022 minus 1917. He would have been 105. Wow. Unfortunately, he didn't see 105, right? Unfortunately, he died in 1982 at the age of 65. At the age of 65, his life was cut short. But his impact continues. 40 years later, oh my God, wow. It's been 40 years since he died. 40 years later, he's still being talked about, discussed. His memory is still being upheld. It's important for us to know who we come from, to know where we come from, to know what our DNA is, our genealogy. It's important for us to know those relational genealogies as well. What were their relationships like? One of the things that I really want, and I haven't been able to find this, and hopefully I will, because I'm working on putting pieces together in our family tree. My grandfather was married to someone else before he married my grandmother. And my grandmother was kind of young when they got married. But she loved that man. Do you hear what I'm telling you? And my granddaddy was fine. I know he was fine with his light skin, light brown eyed self, all suave, honey, the man. Okay. That's right, Joe Duncan. Yes, okay. Um, and my grandmother was a beautiful chocolate woman, right? So that's why in my family you see light bright almost, huh? Yeah. All the way to dark chocolate, right? All of those shades exist in our family, and they came from Joseph and Marcel, Joseph and Mary, right? They produced their seed, who produced their seed, and on and on and on. But there's some things we look like, them Duncans. It's a look that the Duncans have, right? There's some things that make us stand out, some mannerisms, some crazy, a certain amount of crazy that stands out in our family. We're known to be a little off. We known to be a little off. It's not anything to brag on, but it's just the truth, and the truth is what it is. The Duncans have been known to be a little crazy. My grandmama might have shot at my granddaddy, my great grandmother. Mm-hmm. Now my great grandmother, my grandfather, whose birthday it is, his mother, it was, yeah, she shot at my great granddaddy because he was showing out. You need to understand that all of these things in your family will help you to understand why you're wired the way you're wired. See, it didn't all start with you. We think it all started with us, but it didn't. It didn't start with you. Some of the things that you see showing up in your life didn't start with you. They've been passed through the DNA. Listen, some people say, well, no, it's not in the DNA. It's in, your environment. Okay, you can say that. But how do you explain those things that show up when you never were in the environment? You did not know the people. How do you explain it showing up in you? Right? I didn't know my grandmother, my father's mother. I didn't know her, but I'm very much like her. But I never met her. Never met her. Didn't know she existed. Just found out my daddy existed this year. But I got a lot of similarities to her. Married multiple times. Gonna give it your all until it's like it ain't okay. That's what we do. Okay, I done gave my all and it ain't working, and you trying to show out and act a fool on me. That's what we doing. I just need to know what we doing, because once I know what we doing, then I know how to move. Now that is Esther Lee Stewart all day long. Okay, all them names. It's my great grandmama. It's my grandmama. That's my grandmama. That's my grandmama. That's my grandmama. So when I couldn't understand where certain things came from, certain dispositions, certain ways of showing up in the world, believing certain things, like I just, believe certain things. Look what my cousins say, I ain't a killer, but don't push me. You know, I get it on both sides. In other words, our ancestors and our ancestry plays a role in our identity. And the more you know about your ancestry, right? The more you know about your ancestors, the more you can understand you, and then you can make the necessary adjustments. See, I'm not saying that because something runs in your DNA that you are destined to have to be that way for the rest of your life. I'm not saying that. Just like I'm not saying that because you're born at a certain time of the year under a certain sign that you have to be a certain way. No, you don't have to, but you're predispositioned to. There's a predisposition in you to be a certain way, right? But you don't have to be that way. When we understand our ancestors, when we understand who we come from and where we come from, then we can better understand us. And the best way to create change in your life is by understanding why you are the way you are, why you show up the way you show up. Trace the relationship in your family and see what you see. Normally, when there is a pattern of abuse, it runs in a family. People who find themselves in abusive relationships, if they go back, will often find that there were abusive relationships in the family. And it trickles down. The trauma of abuse in a child that wasn't even born is carried over in the eggs, in the sperm, in the DNA. And then we're trying to figure out why we're struggling with something. We don't understand why we're struggling with it because we don't understand where we come from. And when you understand where you come from, then you can understand why you're struggling with the thing that was not your thing, but became your thing. But you don't know how it became your thing, but it was a thing that ran in your family. Then you can face that thing head on and you can deal with it. Oh, we got to honor our ancestors, though, because there were good things that they gave us. It's never just about the bad things. It's always about the totality of the experience. You see, my great grandmother, listen, so my grandmothers, I got different lessons. Okay. So my grandmother on my mother's side, I learned about love and family. And I learned that um, you can choose family over being right, over walking away at first I looked at it and I looked at it as a weakness. Now I know that it was her superpower. Love was my grandmother's superpower. The love she had for my grandfather, even though he didn't get it all right. Listen, and the love she had for her family because she loved her family. She believed that marriage was it, that it was, oh, you get married and you married. You don't walk away from it. That's what she believed. And it was evident in her decision making. Okay. On my dad's side, my grandmother, I get from her my independence and my resilience. That independence that, lets me know I can do it without a man or with a man. I'd like to do it with a man. That's my preference, but I can do it without a man, right? And if the man think he gonna be beating on me and stuff and just treating me any kind of way, I will be doing it by myself. You see what I'm saying? You see how that was? I never met the woman, but it was in me. It was in me. It was in my DNA. It was in my molecular structure. And then when I saw what the love being the superpower over here, but it wasn't looking like a superpower, I said, listen, you can miss me with that. All that, oh, I'm finna let him beat me and I'm finna stay. I'm not doing that. Who? Oh, he finna be cheating and I'm finna just stay? I'm not doing that. You know? I'm so busy trying to hold on to him that, because I feel like I can't do. I'm not doing that. But both sides taught me valuable lessons. And I couldn't always understand and couldn't appreciate. See, now I can understand some things about me that I didn't understand because I just was wired different. I was wired different. Like, even though I grew up seeing one thing, I was like, that ain't finna be me. I don't know who that's finna be, but that ain't finna be. I always knew I was supposed to travel. I was supposed to do great things. I was supposed to wear the finest. Like, I'm supposed to. Like, I'm supposed to live good and eat good. Like, that just was in me. That was in me. When my cousin said, and this is when I knew how deep this thing was, when my cousin said, yeah, we were the slaves and you was the princess. I was like, what? People like legit saw me like the princess. I was the one that could never do any wrong. I was the one that was always so quote unquote special. I was the one that was always lifted up. I didn't see myself like that. But I always saw myself as special. I always saw myself as unique and different. And I always saw that the rules didn't apply to me. The rules applied to everyone else, but not me. I was above the rules, right? Like, there's the rules for the regular people, and then there's me who gets to do whatever, right? And so I just realized how deeply ingrained that is in me. Like, it's deeply ingrained. It has been since I was a child. I'm supposed to be the center of attention. I'm supposed to be in the spotlight. I'm supposed to be on the stage. I'm supposed to be. Like, it's just in me, right? And I could never explain why I was different from everybody else. I could never explain it. I just knew I was. But God knew. God knew when he chose my mom and my daddy, when he chose to put my grandparents together on both sides. Like, all of this is a part of a larger plan that God has for my life. And you have a plan that he has for your life. Like, nothing is accidental about your life, about who your mama and who your daddy is, about your grandparents on either side, about how you grew up. Nothing is accidental. And that is why we have to honor the legacy of our ancestors. You are that legacy and you're producing a legacy. See, there's a legacy that I'm producing, and I want to make sure that that legacy is what I want it to be. Like, I want that legacy to be, yeah, my grandma. Listen, they're going to have some crazy stories to tell about their big mama. They're going to have some crazy stories. But they're also going to talk about the impact that I had on the world and on the lives of the people that I encountered. But all of it goes together. All of it. She was married 5 times. Well, she was married 6 times. Listen, that my husband is looking for me. He finna find me too. So she was married 6 times. She got divorced 5 times. She married one man twice. Like, they're gonna tell those stories, right? They're gonna tell those stories. But they're also gonna say, baby, one thing about my big mama, one thing about my mama, one thing about my grandmama was that she knew that she was supposed to be loved, and she knew that she was supposed to be a wife. She always understood that. See, they're going to know some of the background. They're going to know some of the stuff that has helped to make me who I am. See, that's the legacy. The legacy is the story of resilience and overcoming. That's the legacy. The legacy is never letting grass grow under your feet so that no matter what happens to you in your life, you never get so stuck you can't move. Being unafraid of reinventing yourself, of going through change, transformation, and metamorphosis, of evolving. You know, all of that is a part of what it is. Where did I get that from? Where did that come from in me? My daddy. And my daddy, I believe my daddy got that from my grandmother. But my daddy is has been the master of never letting his circumstances take him out. My daddy's been through some stuff, but he always comes out better. And so when I hear my uncles and my aunts talk about my daddy and how my daddy went through this and my daddy went through that and my daddy went through this and went through that and my daddy always came out better, I know. So that's where I get that from. Just like my grandmother did, you know? See, we got to understand that it is in us understanding the legacy from whence we come that we're better able to understand ourselves and evolve into the us that God created us to be originally. Because there's a reason that he gave you that lineage. There was something about that lineage that you needed for your assignment. See, I hope this helps y'all. But listen, one thing about my daddy, I didn't know where this came from. Now, honestly, I didn't know where this came from. I just knew it was in me. So one thing about my daddy know he fine. My daddy know he's gifted, he's skilled, he's talented. He doesn't see anything as impossible for him. It looks crazy. You know, people think you crazy when you like that, right? They think you crazy, right? They think that you caught up in you, you know? And to a certain extent, you are. To a certain extent, you believe in you so strongly that you bet on you. See, my daddy's going to bet on him. He's going to bet on him. I'm going to bet on me. My grandmother was going to bet on her. My grandfather was going to bet on him. My great-grandfather was going to bet on him. It comes across as a sort of arrogance, but it's a knowing. It's when you know that you're special. It's not that you're better than anybody else, but it's that you know you're not ordinary, and ordinary aggravates you. You're not regular, and regular aggravates you. When you try to be regular, you get aggravated by it. Like, you know that there's more. Growing up in a 3-room house with no indoor plumbing, I knew there was more. I knew there was more to life. I knew that there was more to see than just Kentucky, or, you know, living in Russellville, Bowling Green, which is where the university was, Western Kentucky University, right? Or when I would go to Nashville, you know, and stay with my aunt, like, I knew there was more. I just knew I was like, Nashville, that's the city, baby. I was driving in the city. Like, I knew that I'm supposed to be like, this feels like me. And every summer when I would come to town, you know, and I would stay with my aunt and my uncle, they had the candy store, the neighborhood candy store, and everybody would come down to the candy store, you know, oh, you know, Veronica's in town, you know, and here I am, I'm from the country, but I come to the city, honey, and I'm like all the news in the neighborhood because I'm in town, right? That tall, light-skinned drink of water with them long legs, okay? I just knew I was different. And even though I'm not a singer, when we were on Bobby Jones Gospel, when I was a teenager in the choir at 12 Robes Baptist Church, under the direction of Bobby Bird and oh my God, what is his wife's name? Vicky, who performed with James Brown. Like, I felt like I was supposed to be on television. I was supposed to be in the choir. You understand?
Like those experiences early in my life began to shape me. They shaped my understanding of my identity. I just want somebody to understand that you come from a powerful lineage. See, even beyond our natural legacy, even beyond that, there's our heavenly legacy. Like Jesus is our big brother. Like, what? That's our big brother. Our big brother performed miracles. What you talking about? We got the same DNA. And he said, and greater works than these shall you do. Like, we gonna do more than what he did. But because we don't believe in our lineage, we don't believe the legacy that is ours, we settle and we just try to be regular and ordinary. Oh, the month of December is not for regular and it's not for ordinary. This is the month of the extraordinary. Remember, all month long, surprise, surprise, surprise. You should expect it. Why? It's a part of your DNA makeup. Honoring our ancestors reminds us of who we are and whose we are, of the DNA that we possess, of the lineage that we're in, of the resilience of our people, of the things that they overcame, the things that they did. It's a reminder. So I know sometimes in the church, people think when you talk about your ancestors that you're engaging in ancestor worship. This is not about worshiping the ancestors, but this is about knowing that they went ahead of us for a reason. It's about understanding that they're cheering. They're in that great cloud of witnesses cheering us on and saying, oh, you got this. You got this. Listen, you know how I know you got it? Because listen, I went through something similar and I had it. So I know you got it. Why? Because you my seed. You're part of my lineage. There are things that when I look at my children and my grandchildren, I look at them and I say, oh, baby, no, you can do that because why? Who your grandmama is? Who's your big mama? Baby, you better tell them stop playing with you. Tell them stop playing with you. You better recognize who you are. And even when you grafted in, you get grafted into the greatness that's in me. Grafted into the greatness that's a part of my lineage. You understand? See, even if you see us as being grafted in to the birthright of Christ, baby, when you grafted, you got the same access. There ain't no difference. You got to know that you know that you know that you're supposed to. See, I'm going to tell you something. I ain't got it right yet, but you know what I know? I know I'm supposed to have that great love. That love where I look at my husband and my husband looks at me and we just smile at each other, where we grow old together. Where we have a legacy and our children and our children's children and our children's children's children talk about our love. I know I'm supposed to have that. It's not out. It's not over. Yeah, I did it 5 times and it did not work. But baby, it is not over. My life is not over and it is not done. You know what the problem is with most people? Because it hasn't happened by a certain time, they think that it's never going to happen. Oh, baby, I got a lot of stuff that God is going to do in my life. You better ask somebody who I am. Honey, I'm the queen of the comeback, babe. What are you talking about? Okay, I know I'm 56, but baby, guess what? I don't look 56. Well, I don't look 56. I don't act 56. But I am. I don't care nothing about that. Those are just numbers. The number could be 36. It could be 46. And you know what I know? I still stand on what God showed me. I'm still standing on the promises of God. I'm still standing on the fact that I'm a part of a legacy that is supposed to create an ongoing legacy. I know that I am the one to create great wealth in my family. Great wealth. I ain't talking about no money. I'm talking about great wealth, honey. I'm talking about great wealth. Great wealth is in love, it's peace, it's joy, it's health, it's finances, it's legacy, not just money. Legacy is more than money. But we want to make it all just about the money. Now, the money's a part of it, but it's not all of it. I'm the one that's going to believe and take a chance. I'm the one that's going to take the risk. Oh, I'm gonna take a risk, baby. So what? The other stuff didn't work. So I don't care nothing about that. That's the past. But God has me in a very unique place. He has me in a place where it's almost as though I've lived about 4 or 5 different lives. So I know what it's like to have gone through different things. I know what it's like to make a decision to have an abortion, to carry a baby to term, to have a miscarriage. I know what it's like to go through all of these different things. I know what it's like to lose a sibling. I know what it's like to lose a parent. I know what it's like to lose my grandparents. Like, I know what death looks like. And I also know what life looks like. And I choose life. I refuse to die before my time. I refuse to die prematurely at my hand or the hands of anyone else. I refuse. I refuse. I shall live and not die, that I might declare the works of the Lord. I'm going to live. And I'm going to live well, and I'm going to live fully. And I'm not going to be so caught up in my losses, whether those are financial or material, or whether it is the loss of people that I love. I'm not going to be so caught up in my losses that I miss out on a chance to continue to live life. The question is this, though. What about you? What about you? Are you going to be so consumed with what's gone wrong in your life that you allow that to be your narrative for the rest of your life? Bump that, baby. Listen, I don't care what the story is that the people tell you, honey. When the people tell the story that, oh, girl, you know she been married fast hands. You know she married one man twice. Oh, girl, honey. Well, I don't even know why she still be trying to get married. She need to go sit down somewhere. Ain't she too old for that, baby? I ain't too old for nothing. There's nothing I am too old for, baby. Do you hear what I said? There's nothing I'm too old for. See, y'all keep allowing people to give your narrative to you and tell you what you should take from your narrative. I'm gonna tell you what I take from my narrative. I've been married and divorced 5 times, and I still believe in love. I still believe in it. I still believe in the institution of marriage and think it is an amazing institution. I've learned lesson after lesson after lesson, and I refuse to allow anyone to make me feel bad about the lessons I learned. I'm a little hard-headed, okay? Maybe take a little longer for me to learn some stuff. Okay. I'm an experiential learner. Some people got to learn from experience, okay? That's my journey. But it doesn't mean I deserve less love less than anyone else, because what? They chose to do it one time and stay in it even though they were miserable. Like, I ain't taking nothing from your journey. Your journey is your journey. That just is not my journey. Okay, you're the person that got it one way. That's great. I'm excited for you that you got married at 21 and y'all have been married for 50 years. I'm excited for you. That's amazing and incredible. It's not my story. But I'm glad that you've got your story, because everyone's story matters. But don't try to diminish my story because it doesn't look like yours. And I promise you, I won't diminish yours. But I know what I want. I know what I want. And I know what I deserve. And I know that as God has been growing me up, I'm talking about growing me up, right? Because the truth of the matter is, my DNA and my experiences, both nature and nurture, affected how I viewed love and marriage and relationships. It did. And I keep growing and getting a better understanding and a deeper understanding of me. And I learned to give me grace so I can give other people grace. But do you know what I know also? My husband's gonna be one of the most blessed men in all the earth, honey. Listen, I'm trying to tell y'all, honey, my husband is gonna be blessed. The man that gets me is going to be blessed. Do you understand? Blessed in the city and blessed in the field, blessed when he comes and when he goes. But that man is going to be blessed. Blessed to have the benefit of my growth and the knowledge that I've gained from the experiences that I've had. Blessed to have a woman who believes in love enough to take a risk each time, almost like I'd never been in love before, but with the lessons, right? You know, willing to put my heart out there, willing to finally allow someone access to the fullness of me. Blessed. Blessed that he didn't have to go through one of the other iterations of me. But he gets the benefit of the evolution of me. Blessed. I know the blessing that I am. I know the gift that I am. I get it. And I just increase the value of the gift by growing, by being honest with me, by healing wounds that I didn't realize were affecting me the way they were affecting me, by discovering my identity, tracking my genealogy, understanding my DNA and my genetic structure, and how those things and those past experiences of people in my family have helped to shape the woman that I am. See, my husband gets Veronica 2.0, the upgraded version of me, the me that has evolved, that has grown. Listen, it's not, stop beating yourself up because you've made mistakes. Stop beating yourself up because you've gotten some things wrong or some things didn't work. Stop allowing people to diminish your value because you had to go through some hell. Nah, baby, I ain't gone through all that hell to let nobody take none of what I went through away from me and diminish it or devalue it or make it somehow mean that I'm somehow less than. I always try to be the best version of me that I can be at any given time with the knowledge that I have, with the experiences that I've had. I just always try to be the best version of me. And even when my love has been flawed, like I've given it all. Yeah, I did the best I could. And it was still better than most people's best. But I wasn't so caught up in what I know that I wasn't open to learn more, to know more about me, to study me deeper, to really look closer, to be honest about the wounds and how they affected me, to face it head on and say, ugh, I don't like that. I don't like that right there. Let me deal with that. I got to deal with that because I don't like how it shows up in my life. I don't like what that looks like. I don't like how that affects people. See, the greatest, I believe, the greatest honor to my grandfather is not that I put him on a pedestal and felt like he was a man without flaws, but that I love him with his flaws. I love him even though he didn't get it all right. I love him even though he made mistakes. I love him even though he cheated. I love him even though there was abuse. But this man's heart, his heart was big. His heart was a heart of love. Life wasn't always fair, but baby, he did the best he could. And I honor that legacy. Sometimes people think that honoring a legacy is never acknowledging anything wrong that happened in the legacy. Nah, you ain't honoring the legacy for real. You're honoring a fabrication. Honoring the legacy is honoring the humanity and the greatness. That man is the reason that I'm the woman that I am today. That man is the reason that I can continue to believe in love. See, one thing about my grandmother was she found that great love. And when that man was gone, she didn't want to stay. She had that great love in him. He wasn't perfect, he was flawed, but that was her great love. And they built an amazing family together, not a perfect family, but an amazing family nonetheless. A family that knew something about smiling. You see, as much as people know Duncans as being a little crazy, they know us for our smile, always smiling. So by the time we get to the crazy, oh, you done really messed up. Because listen, it take a lot to get us out of that smile, right? So when we stop smiling, baby, you done some stuff. Baby, you done brought that on yourself, okay? Legacy. Legacy. Stop trying to whitewash the legacy of your family, of those that you love, of yourself. Be honest, be authentic, and allow people to embrace the totality of who you are. I never want my legacy to be one of oh, she was perfect. No, because I want them to be able to relate to me. I want to be relatable. I want them to say she wanted love. She desperately sought love. And it meant that she got married 6 times, but she finally got it right. Like, she didn't give up. It's one thing about our grandmama. She wasn't going to give up on that love now. One thing about it now, she knew how to get a husband now, baby. Our grandmama could get a husband now. I'm trying to tell y'all something. But more than just getting a husband, having someone that I can love. You understand? That my legacy is one of love and hope and education and resilience and overcoming and being victorious no matter what's going on. What do you want your legacy to be? What do you want your legacy to be? See, I think that if you start to think about what you want your legacy to be, maybe it'll help be a guiding star for your life. See, knowing what I want my legacy to be is a guiding force in my life. I know I can't give up on building wealth. Why? Because I have a legacy to create. Like, I don't want my grandkids and my great grandkids to start over at ground zero. I want to give them something to start from, a springboard, a place where they jump off from. I want to give them what I didn't get, what I didn't have. You see, from education on, like, I've done this thing from the ground, from the grit. No, I didn't have anyone in my family who had gone to college. I'm the first to go to college, the first to graduate, the first to get a graduate degree, the first to get a PhD. I'm the first, so that nobody else would have to say I had to be the first. I laid a framework, and I used the framework to help those that come behind me to pursue whatever it is they want to pursue. I'm an entrepreneur. I believe in that. One thing that they'll tell you is that, baby, she always gonna have some side stuff going on. She gonna have some side hustles. She gonna be selling something. She just is. I am, absolutely. Because I understand wealth doesn't come from a job. See, I know that it is my gifts that not only make room for me, but they are going to be the place where the things that God uses to create wealth in my life. The difference between me and so many people is, listen, I accept that I have a multitude of gifts, and I try to use all my gifts and figure out how they work together. But I know this got to work together somehow. Now, how is this going to work together? I always knew I was special. I knew. They made sure I knew. My grandparents made sure I knew. My aunts and uncles made sure I knew. They made sure I knew that I was special, that I was different. And I've spent my life trying to let other people know that they're special. You're special. You're different. You don't fit in because you weren't created to fit in. The people that follow me tend to be the misfits, the black sheep of the family, the ones that didn't follow a traditional path, or they tried to follow a traditional path and it didn't work for them. And it's okay. I know who I'm called to. I'm called to the misfits. I'm called to those people who are multi-talented and multifaceted. I'm called to the people that can't just do one thing, because one thing doing that alone drives them crazy. That's who I'm called to. And I'm not ashamed of that. I'm called to the people that haven't had a straight path in relationships. I'm called to those people. I'm called to the people that don't look like tradition, but they love God. I'm called to that. That's what my calling. I'm called to the people that are sick of the church and hypocrisy and the rules and the legalism, but they ain't sick of God. They're like, God, I know there's more. Help me find my path, my way. I'm called to that. And I'm called to it because of my lineage. My ancestors who have gone before me. They paved the way for me to be who I am today and do what I do now, the way that I do it. So today I honor the legacy of my grandfather, Joseph Benjamin Duncan Sr., a mighty man of valor, a man who was a great leader and a great provider. But nonetheless, he was flawed. It was his flaws that allowed him to connect to humanity. This man right here, I love him. And I love the confidence that he gave me. And I love that he reminded me that I was special and I didn't have to settle. When all I just wanted was a little boyfriend who was all right, who told them boys to come over here? You ain't courting. Like, Daddy. The one who, when he would get off work, he would take his shot of whiskey and let me have the first sip. Until I got to the point where I drank one and then I poured him one. This man who took time with me and spent time with me. This man gone way too soon in my life. But this man laid the foundation. Don't despise the legacy of your ancestors. Don't despise the importance of knowing who you are. Don't despise the journey or the process. And don't despise the greatness that's in you that can only come out when you face challenges and obstacles. Don't forget. And sometimes it's easy to forget. My prayer is that you will identify those things that have been the barriers, those things that have stopped you, those things that have interfered with your ability to see your greatness in the midst of everything going on, that you would find those self-sabotaging behaviors and that you would kill them dead because they do not have a right to occupy your life. Your birthright is so much greater than that. But you've got to be willing to do that work, to identify them and to kill them so that that greatness can show up and you can be the example, the bright and shining light to the world, to let the world know what God does and what he's capable of, because that's just who he is. There's a legacy that you're building. There's something that you're going to be known for, whether you want to or not. What is that to be? When I look at my aunts who have transitioned on my mama's side, each one of them had something that they were known for. They weren't perfect, but can I tell you, all of those women poured so much into me, my growth, my development, and who I am. And I look at them. From my Aunt Sherman, I got my love of knowledge. She introduced me to the city and to city life and city experiences. She had a good job working downtown for the insurance agency in Nashville. She would ride the bus to work and she would dress up every day and she would make her own clothes. And she taught me to sew and she introduced me to a world that I would have never met if it hadn't been for her. She showed me that I could be in the city and fit in the city. She introduced me to biblical numerology. She's the first person that ever told me that Jesus looked like us. And, I was like, what? That's blasphemy. But she was a biblical scholar. She also was a prophet. She and my uncle introduced me to entrepreneurship. Um, they taught me so much. They owned their home. They had indoor plumbing. And so when I would go for the summers, I would be able to take a shower, which I couldn't do growing up. My Aunt Ruby taught me about cooking and family and love. She was an x-ray technician and she was amazing. And when I started my ministry in my hometown, she joined my ministry. She was a part of my ministry. She was one of the mothers in my ministry. She supported me, encouraged me. When I was growing up, she was like a mother to me. I had a lot of mamas. All of them were like mamas to me. My Aunt Sue, we would always bump heads, but, From her, I get that whole open door. You feed everybody, you make sure everybody's got a place to stay. You know, she had a very smart mouth. I might have, yeah, all of them had smart mouths. It was a part of my family. But my Aunt Sue was known for making a place for everybody. Her place was the place where anybody could go. And it didn't matter what color you were, it didn't matter. She opened her arms. Now, she might cuss you out, but you were going to eat and you were going to have a place to sleep. See, we think that it's about being perfect. It's not. But it's about being the best you that you can be and fulfilling the assignments that God has given you. All God wants is your best. He didn't say be perfect, you know? And when he says be ye perfect as I'm perfect, right? It's talking about mature. Like we ought to always be growing up. As children, when we're children, we think that people have no flaws, right? And it's easy to love people with no flaws. But the maturity is being able to love people with their flaws, in spite of their flaws. Life can be a lot. Baby, you're built for it, no matter what it is. Listen, and the way that I began to really, really take control of my life in this season is by identifying my saboteurs, those self sabotaging behaviors that I established as a child, and killing them. That's what the Domo Combo Masterclass is about. Being able to identify your self sabotaging behaviors and learning how to kill them. Baby, listen, can I tell y'all something? It takes 3 positive things to outweigh 1 negative thought. Come on, somebody. We got to learn how to control our thoughts. I remember I was in a position where um, I just knew in my marriage that it was getting ready to go left. I knew it was getting ready to go left. I was unhappy. Um, all I wanted, this sounds so crazy, right? All I wanted was for my husband, to love me and say, I love you, and to say, you're beautiful. um, to support me. Like, that's all I wanted. One thing about me is I don't ask for a lot. Like, I don't ask for a lot. Um, I would say it doesn't take a lot, but it takes the right stuff, right? And I remember my pastor, I remember having a conversation with my pastor. I said, please, I said, I need help because if something doesn't change, it's not going to be good. I'm telling you, it is not going to be good. I feel it. And I remember my pastor saying to me something that my daddy says to me all the time now. He says, remember who you are and whose you are. And I remember thinking, I said, well, who am I? Because I don't know who I am right now. I don't know who I am, but I know if something don't change, it's not going to be good. What I didn't understand was it was the stuff of my childhood that was sabotaging me. One, by having me pick people who wouldn't give me what I wanted. It's like setting yourself up for failure, right? Picking people who couldn't give me what I wanted. It's not how they were wired. It's not what they did. And then being frustrated because they didn't. But I knew that. When you understand what your saboteurs are, you can kill them so that they no longer dictate your life. Like they're no longer controlling your mind. You're no longer allowing that judge to beat you up. See, there's a time when my judge would have just been beating me up, honey. Talking about, you've lived in 4 states in 1 year. Oh my God, you're unstable. I'm not unstable, but I'm definitely fluid. I'm flowing with God. Why am I flowing with God like this? Because listen, whoever my husband is, wherever he is, that's where I'll be. And I'll be okay with that because I'm not so deeply entrenched into any geographical location that I can't move. It makes life easier. God knows what he's doing. He knew it'd take a good year to uproot me to be able to just go where my husband is, baby. He knew. He said, this one, she'll be trying to get the husband to move to where she at. Okay. So let me just uproot her. So, she can just be fluid. And so when her husband says, baby, listen, I prepared a home for us. And she'll be like, oh, baby, you prepared a home for me. Yes, baby. Come on. The only thing missing is you. So I can be blushing and stuff. God knows me. He knows me. And he knows you. But you got to understand there's some work you got to do. Kill those saboteurs. Sign up for the class. It's $97. $97, 2 hours of your time. And Afterpay is available so you can do it in 4 payments over an 8-week period of time. That's 2 months, y'all. Come on, y'all. $97 over 2 months. Y'all got that, right? Less than $25 every 2 weeks, right? But you got to choose it. You got to choose it. You got to choose you. You got to choose change. You have to. You have to. And in the absence of that, don't be shocked when nothing changes. If nothing changes, nothing changes. It's that simple. I told my grandson this morning, I said, listen, if I get up in the middle of the night and your clothes are on the floor, no matter what time it is, I'm going to wake you up so that you can get them up. Okay? I don't care what time it is. I'm going to wake you up out your good sleep so that you can get it up. Because if nothing changes, nothing changes. Sometimes the stuff that you experience is God waking you up out your good sleep. Because if nothing changes, nothing changes. Mm. Happy birthday to my granddaddy. Yesterday, today, happy birthday. I pray that the word today blessed you. I pray that it encouraged you, it inspired you. I pray that it reminded you of the greatness of the legacy that you're building, because you're building a legacy. And it reminded you that you're special, because you are. And I'm not just saying it just to say it or just to make you feel good, but I'm saying it because it's the truth. When God looks at you etched in the palm of his hand, he says, oh, there's my son, there's my daughter. And he's so excited. And he looks forward to giving you a surprise. The question is, will you take it? So I pray the word blessed you. Listen, if you want to sow a seed, in my life, you can go to Cash App, $DRV Walters, Cash App, $DRV Walters, or PayPal.me/DRV Walters. Know this. Know that God is prepared to surprise you all month long. And listen, embrace the surprises because they'll be worth it. All right, y'all. I'm getting off here now. I love y'all. And I pray God's best for your life. I pray that you receive this word about honoring the legacy of our ancestors, appreciating and valuing them, and being willing to take the journey to be able to find them. Hey, Tim, I received my surprise. Oh, Shannon, you so sweet. I appreciate that. Stacey said, I saw The Woman King last night and it made me think about family and healing. Absolutely. Vontae, hey, girl. Hey, Pastor V. Good to see you, gorgeous. Look, I want to encourage you. If you're on this line and you're single, if you're on the line and you're single, just if you're on the line and you're single, put a 1 in the comments. If you're on the line and you're single, put a 1 in the comments. Hold on, y'all. If you're on the line and you're single, where my single people at? If you're on the line and you're single, put a 1 in the comments. Put a 1 in the comments. I want to say a special prayer for the single people. If you're on the line and you're single, put a 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 in the comments. I'm going to refresh you guys because I feel like it's in a delay. Okay. Oh, look at them. They just popped up. Okay. All right. All right. Oh, this thing. Tim, you be fast with them ones, boy. I'm about to watch you. All right. I'm not sure who that is. Tim, April, not sure. Stacy, Lakita, Kareen, Nisi. I don't know why those are not showing up. I bet they're in one of the groups. I'm sorry, y'all. Listen, if you're single, this is my declaration for you that you will heal and that you will fall so deeply in love with yourself that you automatically draw the person who is equipped to love you the way that you need to be loved. That you will know love and the fullness thereof. That your next relationship will be your forever relationship. That you will wait upon the Lord and not just move out of fear or urgency, but that you will move in a way that um, you allow God to do everything that He needs to do in your life. That you will grow old with the love of your life and you will build legacy for the rest of your life. And for those of you who are married, my prayer is this, that your marriage would get sweeter and sweeter day by day, that you would find new ways to love your partner, new ways to show them how you appreciate them, new ways. I declare that God's love will embrace all of us, that it will overtake us, and that we will be full to overflowing with His love, and that we would share that love with those around us. I love you guys to life and life more abundant. Have an amazing, incredible, and epic Friday and weekend. Be blessed. Mwah.